Am I a haul for refusing to make my husband another cup of coffee after he purposely dropped the first one? My female 26 husband, male 31, woke up not in the mood this morning and told me to make him a cup of coffee before he went to work, and once it made it with extra sugar just like he always likes it, but when he handed it to him and he tasted it, he made a face and said it was too sweet. I told him this is how he usually has it, but he said he wasn't in a good mood today and told me to make another one. Mind you, I was already 20 minutes late for work. I told him no, and he already had one and should just drink it. Next thing I knew, he dropped the cup on the floor purposely and said that he no longer has it and that I should go ahead and make another one. I refused, and then we had an argument and I just walked out. He texted me a bunch later saying I disrespected him and forced him to not have his daily coffee by acting stubborn and having an attitude, then reminded me of how much work is picked up and how much time rest had sacrificed in order to help me while I was recovering from the birth of our son, and that was just the first week that I had to get up. He said I owe him and that I should have returned at least one of his many favors. Instead of deciding to ruin his day, I came home and he is here refusing to even look at me. Am I home? Should I have just taken 5 minutes to make him another one? Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, what? Please tell me you did not clean that coffee up that he dropped, not the home. He needs therapy. He's controlling and vindictive. I didn't. I came home and the floor was already clean, but I had to clean deeper since there were parts of the kitchen that needed cleaning. I can't believe he had the nerve to throw the coffee you made to the floor and then say that you disrespect him. How disrespectful was what he did, and then compare it to his help from birth, recovery from his child. Did you throw the baby nappies on the floor? If you didn't like how it changed them, I have to agree with everyone else. I know people here hate using the term gaslighting, but the fact that he has you wondering if you are the a-hole in this situation shows me he has completely distorted reality for you. He is being abusive and you need an escape plan now. Info: did you give birth 1 week ago? Did I misread that info? Is he always this mean and controlling? No, my son is over a year old. What I meant to say is that my husband only helped during the first week, then I had to get up and do everything on my own. As you can see here, he's brought up how much he helped as an attempt to convince me that I owe him. I don't think I owe him anything, especially not when he make his coffee for him often. This is so not good. I'm glad at least you recognize that you do indeed do not owe him a thing. It's a partnership, not a dictatorship. I'm sorry, but this doesn't sound like this behavior will go away. This man needs a therapist ASAP. Are you kidding? Not stay home? What kind of guy, a husband for that matter, would drop their coffee that they asked you to make? What, he can't go make his own coffee? Maybe it was too sweet, but dude, just dilute it with water if you don't want to make your own. Yeah, it'll taste watered out and like but suck it up if it's just too sweet. Go stop by McDonald's or something, or just make your own. You were late to work too. Is there no empathy coming from him? You should not take any extra time to make him coffee. I would have made another cup of coffee and threw it in his face. A grown man should not act this way just cause he's having a bad day. Next story: am I a hold for driving my daughters home in the middle of the vacation after they excluded their stepsister? Either date. Male, have 2 daughters, Nora, 16, and Lily, 14, from my former marriage. Got married to my current wife, who has a daughter, Jenna, 11. Jenna has a disability. She's in a wheelchair. Before I met her mom, her life was pretty much inside a house. She was homeschooled up until I got her in a private school, but she still struggles with socializing due to growing up isolated. My wife didn't want to, but I pushed for Jenna to get therapy, which I hoped would help with her relationship with Nora and Lily, but the girls took their time to get to know her. Yes, they did exclude her from activities, but I had several sit-downs with them in hopes of getting them to understand that Jenna is a normal girl and has so much in common with them, so they shouldn't feel like she's difficult just because of her disability. I thought things were getting better, but days ago, and while we were at a beach resort for 4 days, Jenna stayed with us while the girls kept going out. During our second day, I saw the girls getting ready to get ice cream. I asked Jenna if she wanted to join them, and she said yes. I asked them to take her with them, and they were unsure at first, but then took her. An hour later, my wife came to me saying that Jenna called her, saying the girls left her near one of the benches and told her to wait 5 minutes till he gets ice cream, but they didn't come back. We went there immediately, found Jenna sitting alone while the girls were eating ice cream and hanging out at a different location. I got so mad at them, especially after they admitted leaving her there. I told them vacation was over for them and had them pack their stuff and took them home. Both of them were crying and pleading in the car while my wife and Jenna waited at a resort. I dropped the girls off and had my mom stay with them. Then I went back and resumed a vacation. both girls and their mom were all over me about this, and their mom went on a rant about me favoring my stepdaughter over my biological ones and being a doormat for my wife. The girls were upset, but I explained why I did what I did. Their mom defended them, saying that I shouldn't force them to care for their stepsister and expect them to be her maids and stop their life for her. It gone to my former in-laws, who are now blaming me for ruining the much-awaited vacation for the girls and acting irrationally. My question is whether I messed up and went too far with my reaction. All I wanted was for them to be upfront and honest and not basically abandon her the way they did. Are you sure this is because Jenna has a disability, or is it because she is the stepsister? You can read any number of posts on the sub about people being forced to be friends with step-siblings and how badly that went. Yes, leaving her there alone was bad, and yes, you should have punished them for it, but you also shouldn't be forcing them to be friends. Let them make a relationship at their own pace. Also, she's not just a stepsister but also a much younger stepsister. Number 16-year-old want to hang out with an 11-year-old. I was the youngest, and I can confirm that no teenager wants to hang out with a preteen, even if it's her real sister. Everyone sucks here. So here's the thing, you're being an amazing stepdad and advocate to Jenna, and your daughters needed punishing for essentially abandoning a young kid, especially with a disability. But coercing them into hanging out with Jenna won't make them bond. They'll just resent her, even though it's not her fault. Are you sure Nora and Lily are excluding her purely off her wheelchair? 16 and 11 are two pretty different stages, and unlike Lily, who's Nora grown up with and probably has mutual friends with, Jenna probably doesn't have a ton in common with a teenager. I'm not entirely shocked that they feel more like they're babysitting than three teenagers hanging out. You can't make kids love each other or even like each other, but you can make sure they treat each other with respect and equality. I agree, 11-year-olds shouldn't be hanging out with 16-year-olds, but going to get ice cream is an all-ages activity, and the girls were awful. Info, I'm not condoning their actions, far from it, but I have to wonder, when you did these sit-downs, were you only thinking about Jana's feelings, or did you take your daughter's feeling into consideration too? Because there's two sides to every story, so it makes me wonder about how they feel about this, given that they've continually tried to exclude Jenna / avoiding bonding with her, and he keeps insisting they do. I would put good money on him only looking at this from Jenna's perspective. To be honest, most step-parents realize at some point that you can't create a bond if all kids aren't ready or willing. Next story is titled, Am I a Haul for Angering My Wife on Our Wedding Day? I got married to my wife and partner of 6 years last Saturday. We met each other in freshman year of college, and I was your average fat boy. After a while being together, she was getting bothered with some of my fat boy behaviors with my friends, and she sat me down and talked about things that make her uncomfortable at her deal breaker for her. Because I loved her and I didn't want to risk my relationship with her, I decided it would be for the best to establish some boundaries with my friends in order to not put my partner in awkward positions in the future. Occasionally, though, we still have our guys' nights and we get wasted, and my partner just endures it because it's not as usual as it used to be. And after all, she has a girls' nights out with her friends too. For our bachelor party, my wife had cleared up how she wouldn't be okay if my friends got me strippers. I had told my friends that, but they ended up getting strippers anyway. I felt really bad because it went against my wife's wishes, but I couldn't leave because we were already there at a party, so I begged them to at least not say anything about it. They actually respected my wishes this time and didn't say anything. On our wedding day, during the reception at a party, my friends got wasted drunk and I got drunk with them as well. We jumped into the venue's pool and we were dancing all wet from head to toe. My best man at some point threw up all over the place. At some points my wife pulls me aside and tells me that I couldn't act right. This a hole for making her mad. Now for the top comments. You're the a-ho. It's possible to get drunk without being an a-hole about it, but you and your frat brother friends apparently haven't learned that yet. Get used to groveling, because when it comes out you're bachelor do head strippers, you're going to be in even bigger trouble. Even the bachelor party thing was a clear example of lack of responsibility. He could have just told his troopers to leave. He could have just left. If they refused, he crossed a line, and he feels like it's okay as long as she never hears about it, and then compounded by getting everyone involved to lie about it, and lied to his new wife. What a start that is without the ridiculous behavior at the wedding. She's right, it's embarrassing that a bunch of grown men acts like frat boys still. Obviously you're the a-hole. Just in case, maybe you should marry your friends. The wedding day is supposed to be about having fun with your now spouse. If you can't enjoy yourself with her being the focus, I don't know if you're ready for marriage. Sorry man, you're the a-hole. Totally, exactly this right here. A wedding isn't a party for you, it is a party for both. I view your wife as forgiving enough to respect your times that you have with your friends on occasion. The least you could do is be respectful of her on the day she committed her life to you. You're the ahalobi and you started off your marriage with the lies. Well, this all just screams red flags to me. Yes, it is possible to leave a party. What an incredibly dumb excuse. OP sounds like a 15-year-old. Last story is titled Am I a Hall for telling my mother she shouldn't have brought her new baby and pregnancy at a family dinner after my wife miscarried. I'm 28 male is happily married to my wife Sarah 31. We have been together for over 6 years and married for 3 years. My mother Laura 45 had me pretty early on. She always wanted a big family and has been together with my dad since they were 14. After she had me, she decided to be a stay-at-home mother and, in a space of the next 10 years, had a total of 7 kids. So I have loads of siblings. She has recently announced that I am to become a brother again. Me and Sarah have been struggling to conceive for the past 3 years. We really would like to have a kid together and considered surrogacy, but my family kinda talked us out of it, saying we shouldn't trust our child. Some unknown woman. I have suggested my mother or my sister to become our surrogate if they are that worried, but both of them declined, saying that they can't have any more children and won't be able to carry. My sister has 5 kids, and just to note, I love Sarah regardless if we have a child or not and willing to adopt, but she really wants us to have our own. Me and Sarah have tried a lot of options, and recently unfortunately she had another miscarriage, and this was really upsetting and depressing for both of us. I have shown my support, and my mother, who knew about all of our struggles and recent miscarriage, invited us out for dinner at her house yesterday, which Sarah wanted to attend as she is in a very good relationship with my mother. My entire family was there and the dinner was going well. Sarah congratulated my mother on her pregnancy, and I thought that will be it. Then my sister announced that she is pregnant again, and basically, her and my mother ended up having the baby talk really loudly, where my sister was excited to have another brother and my mother wanted to have another grandchild. That was too much for Sarah, so she got up and left in tears, and I followed her shortly after. She had to cut off her family because they kept telling her she is not a woman for not being able to have children and is too old, and this gets to her too much. After we got home, my mother called me and said Sarah behaved herself very rudely and she is expecting an apology as it has ruined the dinner to celebrate life. I got angry, and I've told her that she was completely out of line and inconsiderate for having the baby talk with my sister when she knew Sarah had another miscarriage, and her life celebration dinner made things a lot worse for both Sarah and I. I have also said that if she told us what the dinner was, we would not have come. At the end, I was called in a hall for not appreciating another life being born. A Marie Home edit. Just to point out, my mother has told me and Sarah that the dinner was to support her after the miscarriage. In no way or form she mentioned about this being about celebration of life, pregnancy, announcement, fertility lottery, and babies. If it was the case and we were aware about it, we wouldn't have come. Not stay home, but reread what you read. Your mom and sister talked you out of using a surrogate because you can't trust a stranger, then lied about why they won't be surrogates, though it is okay to not be a surrogate, but they don't have to blatantly lie about reason. Then your mother lies to you to get you over for dinner, telling you the dinner was to support your wife when in fact it was for her and your sister to announce their pregnancies. What are the odds your mother didn't know about your sister's pregnancy before the dinner? They both then spent a significant amount of time talking, congratulating each other, and talking about the miracle of babies as if they have never had this conversation before. Do you see a pattern here? This did not happen by accident. They manipulated you out of pursuing surrogacy, and they lied in the worst possible way to manipulate you both to show up for dinner. They knew how much it would hurt. It wasn't a bug, it was a feature. Your mother and sister are knowingly sabotaging your wife and your happiness. Not today. Home. Let me get this straight. They have shot down options that you and your wife have considered. They declined acting as surrogates because neither could have more children than they both spend a dinner that was allegedly planned to help console your wife after a miscarriage, loudly yapping about their own pregnancies, the ones they claim they couldn't have. Your mom and sister RDA holds here, and I say keep them out of any future family planning discussions entirely. How is steaming reading this? Well, yes, they can't help out Opie and wife, but they can have their own super toxic bees. Not they. Home. Your family needs to read a room. Oh, they read the room. Opie's mother and sister don't like Sarah and wanted to rub their fertility in her face.